Hello and welcome back. Hope you guys are doing great and staying safe at home. In last video we have added controls to our app. So there are few controls: text view and spinner control and button control. So in this video we'll try to make all these functional. If so we will first populate this spinner control. So there are two ways: either we can bring back data on the real time from the API, or we can just put the static using string array. So let me take you through API which we are going to consume to build this app. So in Chrome you can type, or any browser you can type exchange rates api.io and hit enter. So we are going to use this website's API. This is free of cost and it contains, it has a vast number of currencies available. So the frequency would be an hour or so, I guess. So that's like for the simple app, it is like good enough. So you can just type the API. There is no key you needed, access key or anything. So this is like ready to go kind of stuff. Okay, so these are the currencies available. So uh, we can just use this link to populate the drop down or spinner control, or this spinner control, uh, or we can use an static array and populate that spinner control. So since this would be the uh, I will go with the simpler way. So I will use the string array, which would be more simpler. So I will let me format it. So it goes like this. We have this item, so we can convert this to just like item and this currency name, and then closing of item tag. So this would be XML file. So let me show you where it goes. So here, and in resource folder you can go to inside values and then strings. So here you can see resources. So here you can define string array, string then array, and it asks name, so we'll name it symbols, and then close it. Okay, and we can have in this format. So I will format this all. I already have in format, so I will use this as it is. Okay, so let me bring it here, paste it. Okay, so you can have in multiple lines or in single line, that doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. So and so this array we are going to use, the name of array we're going to use in activity underscore main dot xml. Here we come to this spinner control, and on next line we'll say Android, and then it was that entries. Okay, Android entries, we can just say array symbol. Here you can see. So now you can see it is appearing that it is taking the CAD, which is Canadian dollar. So now you have already populated this control. Easy, right? So this is the simplest way to populate that. You can alternatively just bind it on real time. I'll do it on separate video, but for now let's stick with the simplest way. So our next step would be in this convert button click, this should go to this APIs service and bring back data and show us the converted data based on the selection of the currency. So let's get back here, and earlier we have created this sample text, so let me comment this out. But firstly, let me, since we are going to consume this API and there is a special library we will need, so we are going to add this library in this Gradle bundle. So this we have to first go to this build.gradle and module app. You can just go there and say implementation, and it will be as volley. So we are going to use the volley library to call this web service, and make sure you have placed this and sync your project so you can access this Android volley library to call any web service. And let's get back here. Since we already have added the volley library, let us try to get the selected text maybe from that spinner control. So let's say string target currency equal to, okay, maybe first I need to get that spinner control. So I'll go outside of this function and say spinner control and then to CRR spinner. So let's define few other controls. Edit text, we have input currency, txt input currency, and then one text view which was txt output currency. Okay, and let's get back here, and for txt input currency, for spinner then find to currency spinner. Okay, so we have defined this and we can access it anywhere now, all these three controls. And another thing, since we are going to consume that API, so we might need this hash map class. So let me define one with string arguments in it. Okay, string and a string. So we will use this hash map with the strings, and same here. Let me initiate this has map equal to new string, not array, but sorry, it should be new has map. Because so we have defined this, let me put some space, and then inside the button click listener, now we are going to write function to call this web service or to get the real-time currency information. So first we'll see which currency we want to check for. So first let us check what the currency we have selected from the drop down. So this is to currency spinner, and then get selected item of this spinner, and then to string, and for time being we are just trimming if there is any additional space. Okay, and then we are adding one exception handling into it, since we are going to call a web service. So it is advisable to use exception handling, otherwise your app will be crash. Okay, start. Okay, here we might create one function just outside of this function. We'll create one function called get maybe private void data, and argument would be string, and then target currency. Okay, just open this. For safe side, not to finalize this string, we will use another variable to store this target currency, which is coming from this function's argument, and another string which would be the URL, which goes like this: latest symbol USD and INR. So for this INR, so our base currency would be US dollar, and the first symbol would be US dollar. So this will bring the information based on the US dollar, and the target currency we are going to set based upon what we have selected here, which would be the target currency, which is we are getting from the drop down or the spinner control. So we are appending this CURR with this. So now a whatever the drop down we will select from the spinner control, this currency will go to the URL and bring us the data back based on that. And now we are going to use Wally's class JSON object request request. So this comes from volley JSON object request, and then new JSON object request. Something. JSON request will say request dot method would be get, and then the URL of our API, then object, and then one listener would be there. So we'll say new response listener. You can see in the list, we'll just press tab, it will create one function on response for us. So inside that, we'll go and add one try and catch block. Exception ex. Okay, we have a skeleton of it. So here we add one error listener, new response error listener. It will create function, or error we will say just toast. Dot make text, maybe get application context. We'll say error. Let's print some message. Exception dot get message or something. Why doesn't head get? Okay, maybe error now get message. Okay, here we go. Then comma toast dot length dot short. Okay, so here we are just done with the skeleton of our response, and now we'll just create one JSON object to hold that response which we are making. Get JSON object, and we know there is tag which is rates, so we'll go to the parent node rates, and then string, maybe value of it, value of this currency should be JSON object dot get string, which would be this CUR, since we are choosing from the drop down. So we this currency must have it inside this response. So we are having this variable passing in this get string. So what this is going to do is this will fetch this uh, JSON format data, and it will search. Suppose we select the first CAD in drop down, so it will select the CAD if we choose this get string as CAD. So this will store in current value, and then we will need to store this in other variable has map put, and we'll say the same name for the key and value of this currency which we got from this response. Okay, so it is already here, and then let's go down. We all done here. So maybe here we can say request q equal to volley object dot new request q for this, and then q dot. Okay, something is wrong, let me fix it. Just delete this extra, and we're going to add this q dot add and then request for JSON object request. Here we go. So what we have done so far is we created an get exchange function. We call this API uh, to fetch the certain value based on the selection of this spinner. Okay, so for this video, I think this is already a long video, so this is it for now. In next video we'll just convert based on the selection and print this on our app. Okay, so